President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday created the Nairobi Metropolitan Services and appointed Major General Mohamed Badi as the Director General. That move by President Uhuru Kenyatta, in my view, effectively rendered Mike Sonko a governor without portfolio. So Mike Sonko is now a ceremonial governor. Remember, the central government had always wanted to take control of Nairobi County. And this is a fact which they've always expressed before. But because of Mike Sonko's erratic behaviors, he committed some political mistakes. And that's how the system now managed to ensure that they had someone who is now in charge of the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. Now, let's face it, this takeover of Nairobi County is designed to achieve certain political objectives. And we are going to look at the inside politics of that move by President Uhuru Kenyatta to take over certain functions of Nairobi County government very shortly. But let us look at the functions which have been transferred from the county government to the national government. There are basically four critical functions. The first function is the county health services. We all know that healthcare is fully devolved, but most county governments have failed. So the government knew that if they were to take any functions from the county government, then it was healthcare. And Kenyans were going to support. In fact, I've seen people, for example, the people of Kisumu, asking the president to also take over healthcare services from the county government of Kisumu and any other, most county governments. I mean, in most counties, most people are asking the president to take over functions of health functions in those devolved units. So that's very critical. The other function which the national government has taken over is the transport services. Another critical functions. These ones will mean that parking fees will be managed by the central government. So will the county government get revenue? We all know that most of these governors are depending on such kind of revenues to loot the country. That's how Mike Sonko was able to manage or to run the Sonko rescue team from those resources. The other functions that have taken over is the public service. In Nairobi, if you want to construct a house, you have to buy land. It has to be approved. You have to draw the plan. It has to be approved. You have to get a NEMA certificate, all those authorizations. Basically, those functions have now been transferred from the county government to the national government. So which functions will Mike Sonko be performing? The other function which has been taken is the planning and development. So basically it means Mike Sonko atakuwa naona tu maneno ya development and planning kwa view sasa. And that's why I'm insisting that Mike Sonko is now a governor without portfolio. And this is what the central government wanted. And for a long time, the people pushing for Nairobi Metropolitan have always argued that there was need to have only 46 counties. Then in Nairobi, the central government runs it. But then a mayor, some kind of a mayor, is elected as a political face. So that's what these guys are experimenting here. So we are going to have 46 counties, and then we are going to have Nairobi managed by the central government, but with a ceremonial governor. And I'm sure if the constitution will be changed, we are going to have not a ceremonial governor, we are going to have a mayor for Nairobi. But let's wait and see. And remember, during Kibaki's era, we had the minister in charge of the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, Robinson Githai. And during that time, and I'm sure this is what these guys are pushing for, during that time, the Nairobi Metropolitan consisted of Kiambu Town. Part of Kiambu Town was part of Nairobi Metropolitan. Thika Town was part of it. Ruiru Town was part of it. Then there was Mavoko was part of it. There was Machakos, and there was some part of Kajiado forming the Nairobi Metropolitan. So I'm sure in the new constitution, there's likely to be a push to have Nairobi Metropolitan expanded that way. But maybe because of the politics, it might not happened like that. So they might likely decide to just retain it the way it is today. Now let's go to politics a bit. Uhuru appointed Major General Mohamed Badi as the Director General who will be in charge of Nairobi County government. Most people have been arguing that President Uhuru Kenyatta is preferring Muslims or Somali, people of Somali origin. The truth of the matter is that Mohamed Badi is not a Somali. This guy comes from Lamu, the smallest tribe in Lamu called Bajun. So why were they going for someone who comes from a minority tribe in this country? Bajun are like, their population is around 70,000. They can't even elect a governor. But the president has now opted to have a Bajun to head Nairobi, the capital city of this country. In my view, that's all politics. Because if Uhuru had appointed a Luo, we would have seen politics. If he had appointed a Kikuyu, we would have seen politics. If he had appointed a Kamba, we would have still seen politics. So I think the president wanted someone whose appointment will not raise any questions. And that's why people are not confusing this guy to be a Somali. Well, in real sense, he's not. So the president has played that card to address the issue of tribe. But what are the inside politics about all this move? I only have 3 reasons. The first reason, which the president wanted to achieve, is that he wanted to ensure that there's a full takeover of the Nairobi County government by a cartel. Who Mike Sonko was trying to fight. You can't fight such cartels in this town and succeed. And I'm saying this because Nairobi County collects over 120 million in a month. But that one was a good month. They did that, I think, in when Sonko took over. And by the time he was leaving, that figure had reduced to around 80 million every single month. Every single day, sorry. That's a lot of money. So there are certain people who want to control this money. Because now this money will be collected by KRA. So Sonko and the rest will not control this money in any way. It will be collected by KRA. I don't know how they are going to manage it. Let's wait and see how they are going to manage it. So that's the one way they are going to control it. Then apart from that, James Macharia has just appointed 3 people in what is called the Nairobi Metropolitan Transport Authority. I don't know why they've not allowed the NTSA to take charge of that particular component. But he has appointed 3 people to oversee as members of the Nairobi Metropolitan Transport Authority. If you go to Nairobi, there's Matatu Menace, so which means the vehicle coming to Nairobi, the amount of money which will be collected from those vehicles, because they want to introduce hourly rates, is going to be just too much. But let's face it, who has he appointed? He has appointed 3 people. Number 1 is Mary Chege. From the name, definitely a Kikuyu. Number 2 is Macharia Mugai, definitely a Kikuyu. Number 3 is Ronald Ndegwa, definitely a Kikuyu. You can't convince me that there were no Kenyans who would have served in those capacities. I'm not saying that Kikuyus ought not to have been given those opportunities. But in this country, if you have 3 opportunities and you give them all to one tribe, when you're taking the functions from a Kamba, then it doesn't augur well. So I think the president should decline to approve this appointment. But I've seen that Kenyan Gazette. These appointments were actually made on 9th February 2018. So probably there could be a problem somewhere, or someone just decided not to be careful with whatever he was doing. But assuming the list circulating is the true list, then we are going to have a problem. So basically what's going to happen is that we are going to have Badi, who comes from a minority tribe, as the figurehead. But down here, person who will be running the transport sector in Nairobi are Kikuyus. So that was one of the devolved functions transferred. Then we have only 3 remaining. We have health, we are going to monitor keenly those appointments from health. Then we are also going to monitor very keenly the appointments on public works and also the appointments on the people who are going to run the planning and development sectors in Nairobi. So that's number one. These guys wanted to take full control, this cartel of Nairobi County. And they've now taken full control. It's a bloodless coup. Number two, I think it's all about 2022 politics. These guys are keen on locking the Deputy President William Samoei Ruto from Nairobi politics. Remember, when these appointments were being made, it was witnessed by President Uhuru Kenyatta. There was the Speaker of the Senate who was there. The majority leader at the Senate was missing. So let's assume even the minority was not there, but there was the Senator, Johnson Sakaja was there. There was Ken Lusaka, and then there was the Minister for Devolution and Asal, Eugene Wamalwa. What does that tell you? All these people are not known to be supporters of the DP. The DP was missing. So probably he didn't approve this takeover, or he didn't want to be part of that politics. We all know that Nairobi is going to be critical as far as 2022 politics is concerned. And we know William Ruto tried to use Kibra to enter into Nairobi politics. But what did the system do? The system stopped that. The DP had actually laid an elaborate plan to take and win Kibra, using whatever means possible, including using the police to cause chaos, then stuff the ballot box. So, someone disrupted me a bit, but I was saying the deputy president tried to use all possible means to venture into Nairobi. He used the police, but the system was just monitoring. On the morning of the voting, he realized that all the police officers he had assembled were removed. So he was stopped. So if he had allowed Mike Sonko to continue serving as the governor of Nairobi, then it would have meant, because it's known fact, Sonko has soft spot for the deputy president William Ruto. It is also alleged that Sonko became the Jubilee candidate because of the deputy president William Samoei Ruto. Those who were opposed to Sonko had decided, let us give someone else the ticket. Even if he is going to lose, let him lose. But at the end of the day, Mike Sonko prevailed because of the support he got from William Ruto, which means Sonko had to repay that debt. And because of the frustrations he had been subjected to, it was obvious that Sonko was going just to mark time. Then towards the end of his term, he was going to shift camp to William Ruto's side. Because this side, I'm not sure whether the ODM party can grant him a candidate. But I know Uhuru Kenyatta is likely to work with Raila Odinga, and their candidate will basically carry the day. So to prevent the DP from Nairobi, this takeover had to be initiated. Number three, just like I said, the system just wanted to teach Mike Sonko political lessons. Mike Sonko became, I don't know how to describe him, but Mike Sonko was elected courtesy of a system. Even if the system didn't want Sonko to run, they would have blocked him. There are so many questions. How did Mike Sonko manage to get certificate of good conduct? If the system didn't want him to get that, he would not have gotten his certificates, which are now being questioned. How did he manage to get them? So the system wanted Mike Sonko to be the governor. So they put everything possible for Mike Sonko to be the governor. But then the system had a candidate. They had Polycarp Igathe in mind as the guy who was going to run the Nairobi city. But immediately Mike Sonko came into office, he kicked Polycarp Igathe out of office. And that was the beginning of his downfall. So these guys decided that, okay, we are going to teach you a political lesson. Because kicking him out would have meant Nairobians going back to an election, which the government is not ready for now. So now what they've done, they've now let the governor. You can go around with the vehicles, you can go around with the police escort, chase cars, but at the end of the day, when it comes to revenue, someone will be managed. If it comes to healthcare, someone will be managing. If it comes to public works, someone else will be managing. If it comes to planning and development, someone will manage them. Remember, the president gave Major General Badi 2 instructions: fight corruption and also fight cartels. Because those 2 vices are taking Nairobi down. But what has Mike Sonko been telling people? That he's been fighting cartels, he's been fighting corruption. So Uhuru was basically telling Sonko, you guy, you have failed. Watch as these things are being unfolded. And lastly, which is the real politics, is that there's a sustained strategy to Kikuyonize the Nairobi County politics, or Nairobi County Metropolitan, or Nairobi County, Nairobi City, Nairobi County politics. What do I mean? If you look at the figures which Kibaki got and Raila got in 2007, Raila defeated Kibaki. You go to 2013, the figures Uhuru got and the figures Raila got. Raila defeated Uhuru Kenyatta. You go to 2017, figures Raila got and the figures Uhuru got. Again, Raila defeated Uhuru Kenyatta. What does that tell you? It tells you that Kenyans in Nairobi and Kikuyus are always voting opposite. So it means if Kenyans gang up, they can always stop any Kikuyu candidate. That's the reality. And the biggest reality, which was the biggest fear for these guys, was the fact that Nairobi County was going to go to other tribes. So they wanted to control it. And remember, when the Build Living Bridges Initiative presentations were ongoing in Meru, there's a presentation these guys made that Nairobi should be part of Mount Kenya region. They made that very clear. So that MPs in Nairobi like Babu Wino, Nixon Korir, Tim Wanyonyi should now be part of the Mount Kenya region. Yeah. So that's the strategy. And that's why I'm looking at the appointment by James Macharia as a signal. It will be very difficult for Kikuyus to win the gubernatorial seat in Nairobi without getting into an arrangement with other tribes. The politics of Nairobi has been very clear. Just study it from 2007, 2013, 2017, again expected in 2022. So a Kikuyu can become a governor, can easily become a governor because they have the numbers. But if the other tribes unite against them, then there's no way they can take that gubernatorial seat. So the only way they can control Nairobi city is by creating this Nairobi Metropolitan City. And it's going to be very simple. Now, if they are part of the system, they can now easily ensure that the next Director General is a Kikuyu. Or even if it's not a Kikuyu, then the people doing the donkey work down here are Mount Kenya cartels. I don't know what you think, but that's my take. And if you're bumping on this video for the first time, I want you to just take a second or two and hit the subscribe button. Because on this channel, what we do, we analyze politics. And there's always something you can learn, 1 or 2 things you can learn from this channel. So just hit the subscribe button now so that next time we produce a video like this, you get notified. And to the subscribers, I want to continue. Thank you guys for your continued support. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me why I've been a bit slow. Maybe because of coronavirus. Of course, it's because of coronavirus. News are not flowing the way they used to be. I have a kid at Barding. Someone I'm a guardian to. So I had to go to pick him from school. I have some other engagement elsewhere, so I had to go and complete it. But I'm not back. I don't know what you think. Thank you guys for your continued support. The next video is probably on the questions I asked you about Raila. And I promised that I was going to respond to each and every of those single questions. I'm going to do that later after this video. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day.